A warm good evening to everyone present with us today. Talking Films Online welcomes and wishes you brightness under a festal canopy of the present India. I am Ananya, your anchor of the evening, and will take a few of your precious minutes to introduce our platform for those joining us for the first time. Talking Films Online is an online platform inaugurated and run by two female professors, namely Dr. Nicola and Dr. Geeta Vishwanath. It started off on a desire to continue the thread of human touch with people amidst the pandemic through films online. Talking Films Online began entirely as their brainchild 5 years ago. The platform has been supported by the volunteers who join us through internships and the many directors and scholars who have kindly supported us with their discussions and participation. This is to cheer up now and welcome our new volunteers as well as those who will be on board with us from this session onwards. I feel deeply honored as a volunteer myself to welcome Manasi, Dipankar, Tanmay, Samuel, and Rudra as our new volunteers. Can I please ask all of them to send a word of hello one by one? Thank you so much. All the new volunteers, the team of Talking Films Online looks forward to cherishing your participation and assistance. Driving towards the platform again, we consider the discussion of a single movie for Saturdays every week. The members of the team and the audience watch the movie as per the respective conveniences. We draw our analysis of the movie throughout the week until the following Saturday, when we meet at 9 sharp as per the Indian Standard Time, as we are doing tonight. We have had the pleasure of the companies of eminent directors, editors, cinematographer, as Aparna Sen, Amol Palekar, Girish Kasaravalli, and Adur Gopalakrishnan. However, here is more to us. We invite criticism on cinema across genres. We have celebrated East European, South Asian, Iranian, and women's cinema. The platform has been conducting a short filmmaking competition every June ever since our establishment as an online program began. TFO also organizes a series of lectures throughout departments with faculties at different universities. We successfully conducted our first offline international seminar on Indian cinema in the digital era in collaboration with FCT Baroda. Tonight, this is when I get my turn to say that I'm honored for a second time introducing one of my former peers from the platform of Talking Films Online. A writer, a poet, a lover of the films, much as she identifies herself as an amateur actor come filmmaker, Sheuli Mondal is currently pursuing MSc in Media Science and Journalism from Brainware University, Kolkata. She takes interest in literature, film, culture, mythology, society, and people. The film suggested for discussion by Sheuli is Rang De Basanti, Paint Me Saffron. Who will initiate discussion on the film now? Sheuli is a writer, poet, lover of the films, and will continue to take the discussion ahead from here onwards. All over to you, Sheuli.
Thank you so much, Ananya, for that introduction. And thanks a lot to the platform Talking Films Online for providing me this opportunity. I have recently completed the internship here and now I'm here in a new role. But I would like to apologize to everyone in advance because this is the first time I'm initiating any discussion on films. So in case something goes wrong, just try to pardon me. So when I talked about this film that I wanted Talking Films Online to have a discussion on this particular film. It was because I have watched it before, but I just rewatched it just a month back. And both the times I watched this film, I had different ideas. Initially, when I watched it, I was a little kid, and that time I was filled with anger about the corruption going on in this nation and the fate that our freedom fighters suffered in the British era. But recently, when I rewatched it, something more occurred to me that there are much more than what the eye meets, and something that even we can do. Talking about this film, I will start with the visual references that it uses. Firstly, we can see that there are numerous times when we are seeing the Tiranga, the tricolor flag of India in the nature. Sometimes it is portrayed in the nature, sometimes when the flights are going on, we are watching these three colors. So repeatedly, the film is implying on us that it is something related to this nation, this very nation, India. Next, we had the newspaper cuttings, which were telling us that what happened during the British era, what were going on, including the Kakori train robbery or the killing of Lala Lajpat Rai. So there were several incidents like that. Even when the first time we watched Bhagat Singh during the starting of the film, we watch him reading a book and he says that one revolutionary is meeting the another, and he doesn't name anyone, but we can see that he is reading a book on Lenin. So there was it implies that Bhagat Singh was highly motivated by the teachings of Lenin. Also, the visual references were continuously connecting the real world and the real world. The real world that was telling story of the freedom fighters through Sue's documentary, and the real world that these characters, Karan, DJ, and the group, that they were leaving. This is the real world, and we just go back and forth, front and back, in this real and real through the documentary, through the color grading changes, and the music and the story. Also, when we go to Karan's house, we can see that his frames are having their pictures on his very room, but the picture of his mother, that is inside a cupboard. So it was a visual implication that leads us to understand that his frames are very important to him, whom he always tries to keep in his sight. And also his mother, she is very close to his heart, but he doesn't want to share that part of his life with anyone else. We also watch Aslam painting, and first there was something written as rebel kid, and later when they are learning about freedom fighters, about the martyrs, the writing moves to Inqilab Zindabad. If I come to the music part, the BGM is continuously setting mood and changing as the story builds itself. There are songs used as dialogues and there are songs used in dialogues. Songs like Na Jao Saiya or Chukar Mere Dil Ko were being used in dialogues. And similarly, songs like Tu Bin Bataye or Luka Chupi, they were being used as dialogues, the dialogues which the characters were not being able to convey anymore. Or sometimes when our words, our dialogues are not enough to convey the meaning or the message that we want to, the songs are conveying those messages to our dear ones. There were songs and slokas like Bashang Si Jirnani or the Ik Onkar song that were setting the spiritual mood of the film. Also, the sound of rifle and laughter that we watch at the very end. Though we saw the other characters dying, we don't see the dead bodies of DJ and Karan, the person who were playing the roles of Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad in the documentary. We just hear them laughing and we hear the sound of the rifles. So when in the beginning we are hearing Mr. McKinley stating in his diary that there are two types, I always knew that there were two types of people, one who approached their death screaming and one who hugged their death silently. And then I met the third one. So these people were the third one who were happily marching towards their death. Now, if I move to the real life locations and references, so a lot many real life locations were used, like the Indian Heritage Academy, the Indian Aid, even the All India Radio's building was used. NDTV, a real television news channel of India, was used vividly in the film, which we highly doubt that we would be able to take place in today's film or not. Then we also hear a date that was 14th March when the shoot of the documentary starts. So it has a reference to the real life, as 14th March is the birthday of Amir Khan, who plays a very vital role in this film. Also, the Jallianwala massacre scene that we watch was shot in the very place of Jallianwala Bagh where the actual massacre took place. Now, if I move to the character arcs, I think it was a very vital part of the film, because though there was a back and forth storytelling, we are never being able to connect completely, because once the story is going back and we are feeling emotional, suddenly we come back and hear the song Masti Ki Pathshala is going on, they are drinking and all, they are having fun. So there is no way we are sitting all together with one particular mood or one particular emotion. And that is why the character arcs are being very important to us, and we watch how they're being built up. The characters of Karan, DJ, Aslam, Sukhi, they turn from non-believers to believers. They were not convinced that anything good can happen in this country or in the society of this very nation. And people who are trying to change anything are just in vain. They're just wasting their time and energy. But slowly, as the story approaches its end, we hear the same person, Karan, saying that things can change if we take charge. On the other hand, there is Aslam's family and a character like Lakshman, who are firm believer in fundamentalist ideas. They believe that the sole ideologies of which we may call are kind of discriminating are the very fundamental things that are building this nation. Lakshman firmly believes in the ideology of his party and does things from his heart, and believes that the very Indianized idea is going to take this country forward. But at last, his faith in that particular ideology or the particular party is shattered. But I also feel that here Lakshman was also turning from a non-believer to believer, because he never believed in secularism, or he never believed in people of any other religion, particularly people belonging to the particular religion of Islam, can be part of India. But at the end, we watch him getting into the character of Ram Prasad Bismil for real, and understanding the real meaning of secularism, and understanding that it is not people like Raghuveer Mishra, but people like Aslam that are needed for this nation, that can actually die for this nation. Even Aslam's family get to understand that this friend of his, who are not from the very religion that he shares or not from the very faith that he believes in, are actually the well-wishers of their son. Now, another character of this film is this very country itself, India, which we see in different lights. Sometimes it is seen as a very corrupted country where police is taking bribe, the Make 21 thing is happening because of the corrupted ministers and all. Sometimes we are watching this country as a very fun-loving one, where we are listening to the songs like Masti Ki Pathshala or Rang De Basanti, which is describing the very essence of this nation as very carefree and fun-loving, a land of festivals. But again, we watch this very country as a place which also discriminates on the basis of language or religion. And at the end, we also watch this country as being the warehouse of revolution. The country itself becomes a revolutionary figure, and all the people, not only the protagonists that we are watching, but the people like us who are hearing their stories, are also participating in this revolution. They are also trying to march that forward, the spirit of revolution that this protagonist have anguished in themselves. Now, the very interesting part of the story, the thing that I love this film because of, it was the connection between the two timelines, sometimes drawn through the similarities and sometimes drawn with the use of the parallels. I will begin with each character and I will try to describe as I have decoded them. Firstly, I'll talk about Karan and Bhagat Singh. Karan is playing the role of Bhagat Singh, and we watch the actor Siddharth playing both the roles. So there is a similarity between the two characters that they are both having parental issues. Bhagat Singh, though we may not call him having parental issues, but is not being able to fulfill his parents' wish. And here Karan is also not being able to fulfill what his father wishes for him. In both the characters, they are first the observers. Bhagat Singh observes whatever happened at Jallianwala Bagh, and then he turned to the action that he did. Even in this case, we watch Karan as an observing figure. He is observing everything. He is not a person who expresses himself very much. But at last, the final action is being done by him. The message is being conveyed to the people by him only. Moving to the next character, that is DJ, who also plays the character of Chandrasekhar Azad. I think it was a very interesting thing that he never considers himself as Diljit until the very end, his last dialogue, but he names himself as DJ in the same way that Chandrasekhar Azad named himself. As many of us know, that Azad was not his birth name. It was a name that he provided to himself. So I think that was a very interesting arc between DJ and Chandrasekhar Azad. Next, we have seen the character of Sukhi. But here I would like to say that on 23rd March 1931, when Bhagat Singh was hanged, there were three people, Bhagat Singh, Shivram Rajguru, and Sukhdev Raj. So in this film, we also watch the three people getting hanged during the first part of the film. But we watch the faces of only two people. One is Bhagat Singh and one is Rajguru. The character which Sukhi is playing, played by Sarman Joshi. So I think here, I don't know why they decided not to cast another character as Sukhdev, but I think there was a blend of Sukhdev and Shivram Rajguru in Sukhi, and that is why the abbreviation of the name Sukhdev was used as Sukhi in his name. Next, moving to Aslam, who plays the role of Asfaqullah Khan, played by Kunal Kapoor. He is an artist. Asfaqullah Khan was an artist. His writings, his beliefs in art, they were chasing the revolutionary ideas. And here, Aslam is also a person who is a poet, who believes in shairi, who we always see doing art, the wall painting and all. So I think art is what is connecting Aslam to Asfa. Next, we have Lakshman, who is playing the character of Bismil, played by Atul Kulkarni. So here, lot many of us don't know that Bismil, in his initial political career, was a member of Arya Sabha, who firmly believed in the Indianized ideas, similar to Lakshman. And also communication. Bismil wrote numerous poetries which used to spark the revolutionary ideas in the freedom fighters. And here we see Lakshman doing the same thing when they're protesting after Ajay's death in front of India Gate. We see Lakshman holding the mic and protesting against the corrupted ministers of this nation using his communication skill that Bismil used. Next, we move to Sonia Durga Bhabi. She is the only character of this team who survives, whose name is not dragged into the situation. Most probably, people don't even get to know that she was also involved in this planning. And interestingly, Durga Bhabi was the only person amongst these characters who were mentioned in this film to live enough to watch India getting its freedom. Sue McKinley is playing a role here also. She is playing the role of her grandfather himself, Mr. McKinley. Here, both of them are the eyewitnesses that know that these boys and girls, they are not wrong. They are revolutionaries and they are not terrorists, but they both are helpless and are unable to do anything. Next, we will move to the media part. I think media was a vital element in this film. And it was very interesting thing that we grabbed from the story of the freedom fighters as well. As we know, before Bhagat Singh and Bhutu, they decided to bomb the Central Legislative Assembly. They showed some pamphlets to people, and where it was written that our aim is not to kill, but to make the deaf hear, because it takes a loud voice to make the deaf hear. So they used print media. And here we watch our characters, our protagonists, using the radio, which is again a media to convey their messages to the world. Next is the incident of Jallianwala Bagh. It was the very incident that sparked the revolutionary ideas in Bhagat Singh or other people of this nation. That was a huge incident that had to be answered with violence probably only. And here the MiG-21 incident that has been happening over years, and the fighter planes crashing and the pilots dying. They were the representatives of the people died in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Here, the protest in the front of the India Gate was similar to the protest of Go Back Simon, or after the Simon Commission arrived in India. Here, Ajay's mother is also playing the role of Lala Lajpat Rai, who died while protesting peacefully against the Simon Commission. And here also we see that Ajay's mother and the whole team, they were peacefully protesting. There was no sign of violence, but violence was triggered on them. And here Ajay's mother is also hit and she is in coma. The diary of Mr. McKinley has a parallel here also. That is Miss McKinley's documentary. The diary stated what was true, not what the officials or the state wanted the people to see, because the diary was written by an eyewitness. Similarly, it doesn't really matter whatever other people will think or how the state will portray these people, but there is at least one character, that is Sue McKinley, who knows what is true. And she has recorded a documentary that will represent how the characters were true to their dreams and desires, and they were not terrorists. I also found that the Kakori train robbery had something similar to the killing of the defense ministers, the defense minister. Also, we can say that the killing of John Sanders was similar to the killing of defense minister. And the bombing of the Central Legislative Assembly was similar to acquiring the All India radio station. People seem to think that there are terrorist attack and anything like that, but no life was lost in the bombing of Legislative Assembly, and no lives were lost in this acquiring of the All India radio station. It also seems like that Karan's father and his team, who are even thinking about the investigation and what will have a toll on them, it seems like similar to the Simon Commission that decided to have a constitutional amendment of India without any Indian representative with them. Again, we also watch a particular scene from the documentary where Chandrasekhar Azad was asking the Indian workers in British military to not stay forward because they did not want to hurt any Indian, but they had to. And similarly, we watched that here also, while these boys were fighting for their friend who died and who was in military, commandos were applied against them. So I think it was a parallel and a similarity that always your own people are being intuition to fight against you. The one thing that stays similar in both the cases are the governments. That time it was the British government, but this time it is the very Indian government that is elected by the people of this nation. But I think it is very interesting to understand that no matter who the person is in the ruling state, is the character of the ruler that is not getting changed. In the storytelling, I I love how the fast stop doesn't let you sit. I just mentioned it a few minutes back that it doesn't let you carry on one single emotion. It takes you to the emotional idea of martyrhood or the freedom fight, and then it takes you back to the festivals of Punjab, or it takes you back to the Gurudwara where Ikonkar is playing, and you understand the feelings of spirituality. The back and forth narration doesn't let you move and grabs you to the screen. At least it did grab me. And the parallel between the thoughts that flows to similarity. Because initially the characters like Karan or DJ had nothing similar to the ideas of Bhagat Singh or Chandrasekhar Azad. But as the movie approaches its end, we watch them building a similarity with the thought processes of those characters. Even we hear DJ saying that the blood was tired of running in my veins and it wants to be free. In Hindi, he says it wants to get azad now. So that is why I feel that it was getting similarity with Chandrasekhar Azad's mindset. And there is transfer of ideas amongst generation. As I said, the media was used. Firstly, the diary was used to transfer what Mr. McKinley felt to Shue McKinley, and this documentary helped this protagonist to understand what was happening in that era and is happening now are very similar, and they had to bounce back in the similar way. And also, after the characters speak what they were going through and why they did what they did through the radio, it inspired the generation, and they also decide to get it forward. We also see that there is struggle and conflict of ideas in the restaurant scene where Ajay says that he can die for this nation, and other people like Aslam or DJ and Karan, they feel that dying for this nation will be useless because nothing is going to change ever, and whoever tries to change it will end. And in the whole film, we also have hints of what is going to happen later. We repeatedly get hints that probably Ajay is going to die. We get hints that sometime later Aslam and Lakshman are going to get together. We also get hint that the politician Raghuveer Mishra is not at all uh, fond of Lakshman because of what he is doing, but he is fond of Lakshman because he is not opposing him. So, and another thing is that the film focuses on the impact of an action rather than the action itself. When Ajay died, it was not his death that was very impactful, but the following stuff that followed his death, like the debate show where the defense minister says that Ajay was not at all skilled to have have to fly the plane, a fighter plane, or the debate between people where they were protesting. These were the impact of the action that Ajay died. Again, when they killed the defense minister, it was such a small scene and no that much of a climax was built up. But whatever happened after the killing of that defense minister was something that impacted more, and we were delved deeper into that impact. We can also say that this film itself was the action that happened, and the impact that followed was huge because people actually tend to follow whatever this film had to convey, and there were numerous protests led by young generations whenever they tried to protest against anything that they feel that the government was doing wrong. And four major religions were repeatedly showcased in this film: Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, and Christian. And I think because these were the most populous religion of this nation. And also one name was taken, that was Sardar Udham Singh, who killed General Dyer, who was the who gave the order of doing the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So I think Udham Singh's name was mentioned, and these four religions were also shown. Uh, so here I would like to inform something that when Udham Singh was captured after he killed General Dyer, he stated his name as Ram Mohammed Singh Azad. Ram Mohammed and they signified the three major religions of this nation, and Azad, which literally means freedom, was showcasing his anti-colonial ideals. So that is all from me. I must be missing something. So others can now contribute their ideas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sheuli. This is a word of thanks extended to you from the whole team of Talking Films Online. Yes, so the panel now, the discussion is entirely open. Anyone who wants to go first can kindly take the mic.
Can I come in, Ananya?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sheuli, for that introduction. Yes, Rang De Basanti was a hugely popular film, and it's one of several films that, rode this wave of the portrayal of patriotism in Hindi cinema, starting from border. I'm talking about the post 90s films, Hindi films. And but what is especially interesting about Rang De Basanti is trigger for this revolutionary act is a representative of the colonial power. It is this girl who comes from England and she wants to make a documentary on these martyrs. And then that's how her life gets mixed up with these college boys. And so that I thought was very interesting. And then, of course, there is a very, deeply masculinist discourse in the film. It's about, getting drunk and having fun. And so all this, in the domain of the male. And then finally, it is these same boys who seem to kind of rise above their own waywardness in order to, do something. Again, a very aggressive, masculine force that drives them. So these are some of the things I have to say about this film.
Thank you, ma'am. I absolutely agree. But I think that is why this film is different, that it was representing what actually happens in this nation right now. Even though this film is almost 20 years old, it doesn't really feel like it, because the same thing is going on in this nation. And I think because of the masculine things that it portrays, it is more able to connect with the young generation of this nation.
Thank you.
Am I coming? With Alania?
Yes, sir, please do.
Okay. No, when I first saw the film, I thought it is a very immature film. I am saying this because I spent my 40 years in Delhi as a journalist, after for 10 years as a political journalist. This film was made in the background of the Helka expose, which itself was fallen through, in the last few years. If you look at it, the Tehelka man was slapped 2 crore, defamation, by the High Court of Delhi. So, I think the filmmaker, the concept of his understanding of politics in this film is, something which is very immature, I think. And then he's passing it off to the youngsters, to compare it with Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad and the violent part of Indian freedom movement. The violent part was the one which gave us the freedom. People must remember this. It is the Gandhian thought, the Gandhian ahimsa, which gave us the freedom. And the British had the power to, all the physical power, military power to keep us as colony if the violence was, our means to freedom. We were not Russia to do a revolution in economy. So I don't know, certain section of the people still celebrates that violence. It's okay. Everybody has they must have the say. But coming to, my issue is with comparing the British system with the Indian system, which is much more humane and much more open. We can change the governments. We can, as the film says, we can kill the defense minister. In fact, the then defense minister, Joe Fernandez, got killed himself with all this controversy because he was a man, a different man. He was accused of a lot of things. And I don't know how many people know that after the ministry, this thing, he got a severe Alzheimer's and he was, in bedridden, living like a vegetable for 10 years before his death. So let's not, get into hyperbolic things about Indian politics. And today, Sheuli said about today's situation. Today, there is no protest. Nobody can protest. You look at Ladakh, he's in jail. His wife is going to Supreme Court. So let's not, I'll say, please be, careful when analyzing this kind of immature political feelings. It doesn't serve anybody, youth or old or Indian politics or anybody for that matter. So, that's what I thought, because when I saw this film, my blood boiled because I know, as a journalist, I knew in Delhi, the reality is different. You could change the minister. Where is Joe Fernandez? He was voted out. But, the man was accused of lot many things and he could take it. He could take it mentally. He slowly got into, he had 2 hemorrhages after that. So let's not, celebrate immature attitude about, or immature views about politics, saying that it is the youth. It is not. I think, many of the youth are much more informed about politics and society than many of it. Recently, as academics, you all know that the subaltern studies is a roving, big subject these days. It all started in JNU by the youngsters 20 years back. So let's not, undermine the youth of this country because they are much more deeply understanding issues. They face the reality and go about it much better than most of the filmmakers who claim that they represent the youth. That's all I have to say. Sorry if I am offending anybody or the youth or the political ones.
Thank you so much, sir, for your opinion. Though I am not completely convinced by whatever you said, that I don't think that it was solely the non-violence of Gandhiji which brought us the freedom. I think both the radical ideas and the liberal ideas were needed because I'm from the land of Bengal and we have always heard about Netaji. If only non-violence could have worked, so then they would never have taken the weapons. And though I don't think that violence is the answer, which I firmly would say that violence is not the answer. And obviously comparing the British Empire to the Indian government right now is kind of immature politically, and it is not politically correct. The film is not very politically correct. I absolutely agree to that. And I think this is what is happening. We are not protesting. This is true that we are not protesting that much in a massive way. Though the online media is here, the online discourse are happening. But yeah, Sonam Wangchuk is arrested and we are not protesting. So I think this film was somewhat utopian in its nature and somewhat misleading also when it comes to violence. But again, the characters themselves answer that we cannot shoot everyone we don't like just because we are feeling that they are wrong. So obviously violence is not the answer. And I don't think that this film is something that we should blindly follow and think that this is the only way to change our nation or the nation's politics and the society. But as a film, I think we should be open to every kind of film, and after watching, we can criticize it, obviously. That is so.
As a film, they have all the right to do it. All I am saying is that we must understand its limitations, its immaturity, of the concepts and and the way they go about it. And violence, of course, many people say, there are places in India who are very violent even today. That doesn't make any difference to anybody, because the state is all powerful. So violence is no end to anything. And of course, we are in a democracy, so violence is not an option as of now. And that's all I wanted to say. Because if you look at this as a political film, I will say it's an immature, misconcepted. The whole concept is misconcept. A lot of things which are not real. He has trying to portray it real. That's the problem. That I think the youth think. You think that the youth don't understand it. I'm totally, against it. It's the youngsters understand a lot of things. They are you people are the ones who research on everything and find out the facts. Keep going about it. Finding out the facts of the past and how the future could be. So to belittle them, sorry, I won't agree with the concept of the film. That's all.
Okay, sir, I got it.
Ananya, can I come in?
Yes, ma'am. Please go on.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sheuli. You really brought out many, perceptive points and mapped out the two timelines very well. Saw the parallels which were used to, make these connections. And in that sense, it really brought the film alive as a well-constructed film. Whatever be its politics, and about that there can be many views, but in terms of its construction, because largely your own discussion was bringing these parallels and also the character arcs, the changes that happen to these characters, what they absorb from the past as they remake themselves. All that was very perceptively done, Sheuli. I mean, while watching the film, there was this sense. This is 2006, and I thought, it's so prescient in so many ways. It's kind of able to see so many things. It is, of course, of its time in the sense that it's setting up various interest groups that are kind of taking shape at that moment, including it doesn't come across so strongly, but including the Hindutva group or representatives who are somewhat more cynically like they are part of the government, but they are also part of the society at large in the times when they are asking people not to be westernized and things like that. To me, what this film, so one is, of course, what it kind of tells us about the situation that is to come. The what may seem today like I mean, it's just the youth who are capable of such things, like what happens in Delhi anti-CA protests and what happens after that. So there is this and the way in which the government treats them and comes down upon them. We have instances of that continuing right up to the present, and I'm sure we all know what I'm talking about. So this sense that the as Cherian sir was saying, the film seems to think that there is a very drastic act of politicization that is required. And that comes in the form of this, acting out for this film, and that is what politicizes them. But we know that there are multiple discourses at play, and so young people like you are getting, your political education in the university spaces in different ways. So one was the way in which it is kind of harking to the future, and this is something that we'll see to a large extent, in the coming years. The second aspect which this film reminded me of was, I think about a couple of years ago, when we were traveling in Punjab, I think we stopped by at a heritage hotel. And it was a very massive property, and it was we're just wondering what is this, and then there were photographs hanging on the walls, and so on. We accidentally had gone there with no idea. I mean, we just thought it's a heritage place and we wanted a place to eat. And then we realized that this is apparently the property that was handed over to the judge who awarded, the Indian judge who awarded the death sentence to Bhagat Singh and all the others. So it was like, this was really massive. I mean, it's palatial place, and apparently he had been given similar properties in Shimla. So it kind of, again juxtapose the present, the accusations we hear about what kind of after retirement benefits, judges are being given for the kind of cooperation they give to the government. So in many ways, there were so many parallels that this film was kind of drawing for me with the present. I know, I mean, it all seems like a very apolitical set of people suddenly turning political, but for me it worked. In a way, it worked quite well. So yeah, I think I'll just stop here. There are others who want to speak. Yeah, but thanks, Sheuli, for suggesting the film and for highlighting certain important aspects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. And thanks for highlighting the part of your experience with this film and all. Thank you so much. And absolutely, I feel that this is the thing that is going on. And also, there is a thing with the Indian youth. I don't know, with our generation, I will say, or even with the previous generation, that people tend to try to stay apolitical, but again, nothing is apolitical at all. Even if we are not included with any political party, we are not apolitical. The gender-based politics is going on whenever we hear about any molestation or any kind of rape or severe other crimes. The gender-based politics is going on. Other class-based politics, caste-based politics, religion-based politics, they are going on. So we are all part of the political ideologies. So that's it. Thank you.
I can see a hand raised. Ratul-Das, you may go on.
Yeah, thank you, Ananya. And let me introduce myself. This is my first time joining with Talking Films Online, so pretty privileged to hear the discussion. A great number of points shared previously. So we were talking about protests previously, and if we go on a very presentist reading of this movie, it's a very interesting time to talk about this movie. I mean, if we look around South Asia right now, and we had the experience in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and very recently Nepal. And we are looking at youth power and resistance or protest to whatever kind of consequences, whether good or bad. I'm not going into it. But looking at a movie like Rang De Basanti, it feels very relevant from that perspective right now. Now, I would like to differ a bit with the previous speaker. I think it was Cheyan sir, that the movie might come across as a bit immature. Now, I don't think that the movie was so much about giving us absolute answers to all the maladies that we come across, be it regarding corruption or any other political maladies. The principal trouble that we have, and right now actually, is talking truth to power. I mean, uh, if you can't even raise the questions, now I think this movie does a great job in uh, giving us a portrayal of the frustrations that can border on devastating the entire political fabric. Yeah, there was a limitation within which the protagonists work, but it can go out of hand very quickly, especially when the institutional checks that we have. I mean, I can talk about the dilution of the Information Commission or even the Election Commission that we are debating on right now. And if it feels very hopeless that through these constitutional channels we can seek information or even make our concerns known or raise our voices or raise these questions in the first place to all and sundry, who might then join in the debates that would lead to the decision making. Now, that is very fundamental. Now, if these institutional channels are blocked, which we saw was the very thing that that troubled the characters in Rang De Basanti, that the truth about what happened to their friend, that was not clear to them. And even seeking that information was met with, uh, the subterfuge that the state actors usually engage in the name of state secrecy and all the other excuses that they may cook up under the law. So that I think was a great legitimate point about the movie. This was just on the point of protest. One interesting fact that I remember on the CBFC dealing with this movie, that they had consulted with the Ministry of Defense before issuing the certificate, and I don't want to go into very direct comparisons about the strategies that are taken by these institutions right now. But the fact that the Ministry of Defense had cleared the movie I think, speaks a lot about the legitimization of dissent in a media production like this. Uh, Another observation that I was just wondering that this back and forth, this parallel between history and the present, the cinematic present, usually we find these connections in a very ancestral predecessor connection. Like if I think of a movie from Hollywood like Assassin's Creed, probably, or even Imtiaz Ali's Love Aajkal. Right. So we see that back and forth between ancestors and successors. But here it was remarkable that we are talking about spiritual predecessors more than biological predecessors. So that I think was very interesting in the narrative strategy employment here. Thank you. These were my observations.
Thank you, Ratul. I think just because you said it struck me again. The whole film was about transfer of ideas only. From the beginning to the end. At first, Bhagat Singh says that we are not this is not the end, Mr. McNally. There are more to come. And even at the end, we are watching that the seed of mango goes in and one plant comes out, and there will be lots of fruits. So one Bhagat Singh uh, was dead, but his ideas has fruited, and there's so many spiritual Bhagat Singhs around us who just need to be ignited. And also, I just wanted to say, but previously I forgot that the use of the slok Vashangsi Jenani. The meaning of the slok is that when our clothes are torn and they are polluted, then human beings change their clothing because it is needed. Similarly, when our bodies are no good, they are torn and they are polluted, our spirits change the bodies, but they stay intact. The spirits stay intact. So that is what I'm thinking, that the spirits are changing bodies, they are changing their form, they're changing their positions, but the ideas are always there. They're just changing their places but transferring themselves. That's it. Thank you.
I'd like to invite other faces as well, and also the new volunteers. If you have anything to ask, it's a good place to start. Is there anyone who has any other opinion or any other new perspective to add to all the positions which have already been taken and presented?
May I?
Yes, please go on, Nancy.
So I have a very simplified version of my seeing to the movie. What stood out to me was how Rang De Basanti makes history feel alive in the present. It's as if the film shows that freedom struggle never really ended. It just changed forms, the way the past and the present blend together, the parallels you mentioned. Question whether we have really moved on, or if we are like still carrying the same ideals and wounds in different ways. For me, even the title feels less about nationalism and more about how pain and courage shape us as individuals. It more like reminds us the patriotism doesn't have to be loved or political, but it can be deeply personal and emotional. To me, it's about the choices we make, the empathy we feel, and the willingness to stand up for what's right, and even in small ways. And I think the film captures that very beautifully. How ordinary people, when confronted with injustice, rediscover a sense of purpose that like literally connects them to a much larger history of struggle and hope. So yeah, that's my reading of the film.
Thank you, Mansi. I think that was what this film was meant for. But I don't think that the film tells us to wait until something personal happens and we personally connect to the idea of patriotism. But I think, again, probably this is the idea that is holding us back, because we sit there and wait for something personal to happen before we take a step.
Is there anyone else who would like to take the mic? If not, then I would like to have birth with my question. Yes, so I will take up slightly from what a previous speaker, Ratuldas, had spoken about a few angles which can be seen anew. This is true about the film, that the film reflects the present day India, and I do agree with you, Sheuli, when you say that the movie doesn't feel old because of the kind of current picture that this presents of the present day India, even now. Which is a sad truth. But yes, I also agree that there has been that I did find some type of difficulty in consuming everything that the movie was giving away. This is true that there was a spirit of nationalism, of patriotic feeling that ran past him through the movie. But my notice was on the cast as well, that we do have female characters and the male actors as well. In the movie, we see that this is the project of a female, an English female who travels to India to direct a movie like that. So this is under a female direction that we are having a cast of male directors, even though there are many layers. If we see that we have originally a male director who prefers to direct, who prefers to have a female director direct a movie in the movie. So it's like a Russian doll kind of structure that I was coming to see. So that was there. And during my years at the University of Delhi, I came across a really good lesson on war poetry during our module on 20th century literature. So my professor spoke of poetry as being some type of a masculine pursuit, that there is a lot of patriarchy that's connected to wars and missiles and the fight, which has been really beautifully spoken of in the later show Fleabag, featuring Phoebe Waller-Bridge, also written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, wherein they talk about the war that the way that females fight wars, that they're all the fight that the females do not go in to participate in wars with guns and bullets. Men are often out there on the front line. But then there's the way that we associate so much pride in having soldiers out there to protect us. At the end, there is loss on both the sides, and from my side, I hold and espouse my conviction to no war and no such ground of violence. But then all the war that the females also exhibit is quite intrinsic, and that's first that is first internal, and then that becomes intrinsic. We fight the war more biologically when giving birth, when being in labor, when during monthly periods as well. So that's what the show Fleabag talks about. But then when I connected that to the movie, I see that we have a female. We have one female actress Soha Ali Khan, who plays one of the roles. But I still felt that I might have wanted to see that. So that was there was a hint at patriarchy because of the sense of war that was just passing through the movie. And then that's my first notice, and I'd like to hear about this from you. And the second one is regarding the polish, the attempt at polishing the division between India and Pakistan, which I found during the very inception of the movie. There's the moment when they've gone to the classroom. The female director, the English student, the English female is taken to the classroom with Soha Ali Khan, and then they have a moment of enjoyment. They're having fun as young students going to college. And then there's the worker, or maybe the leader of a party, not entirely in a political head, but they come in, and there's a scene of some type of fight which can go on. And there's criticism, rather some type of a brutal message directed to one of the males from the group, wherein they are called a Pakistani, and then they are approached with disapproval for speaking against maybe the Indian politics and expressing their views openly. So I saw that was when this division came to the surface, that Pakistan and India stood divided again. But then throughout the movie, I see that the system of the legal system of justice, as that's been presented in the movie, that was working towards unity of the country, towards unity amongst people of both the religions of Hinduism and Islam, as we see between the rest of the friends, who are mostly Hindus and Punjabis, and there's just one Muslim male with them. So the attempt stood at constructing an India that was secular and that was united. So that was a slap on some type of the picture of secularism that we do say we practice, but then the Muslims do feel divided. So that there was this attempt at working towards a united India, but then we were working against this English colonial force, whilst also bringing to surface this division that they did. They kind of brought to function. So that felt quite ironical to me, that they were working towards in India that didn't discriminate anyone on the ground of religion, but then there was censure at somebody being from Pakistan, somebody being from India, when every time I believe we consider ourselves differently as well citizens of these two different countries, we stand divided. Every time we stand divided, we are somehow enforcing this colonial power. So I'd like you to just reflect on this and help me out.
I actually like that you raised this question because I was waiting for someone to ask this. Firstly, answering your first thing about the gender thing, that we are having a female director of the documentary, but obviously the actual director of this particular film, Rang De Basanti, is a man. And when we are watching the documentary, we are not at all watching it from a woman's point of view. We are watching it from a man's point of view because we are so much focusing on what the male characters did, and there was absolutely nothing stated about the character of Durga Bhabi, what actually she did. Which I really think that if I were directing a documentary or any other woman was actually directing a documentary, they should have focused much on the at least a bit more on the woman character as well, alongside the male characters. Next, I think the female character was used firstly because I think there was again a discrimination, a gender discrimination of showing her helpless in the first part where she goes to the office with her proposal of this documentary and she is being rejected and she feels helpless. Some way or other, people connect this helplessness and hopeless feelings with women, and then they think that showing that they are not getting helpless at all and they are standing against this another kind of revolution that women are doing nowadays in this society. And again, the character of Soha Ali Khan, Durga Bhabi, whatever you said that previously women didn't go to war, it is correct. And the actual reason is not because what women couldn't do, but because what men couldn't do. Men were not very much efficient in handling and taking care of the family within the home itself. And obviously we have other different wars to fight. Our physiological structures are different and we cannot fight on that. When we are asking for equality, we are not asking for similarity. We are not asking for physiological similar things that people always presume to think. But also that the character played by Wahida Rahman ma'am, that was Ajay's mother, she was in coma. So someone needed to be there to take care of her. And that could be done by the character of Soha Ali Khan, Sonia. So that is why these boys decided not to take her, but let her stay because they couldn't efficiently take care of the mother as much as this woman could. Again, Sonia is the connecting jot for Shu Macaulay to this nation of India. So if Sonia is not present here, I think that would disbalance the thing. And again, when while drawing parallel, I have said that Durga Bhabi was the only one amongst this character who lived long enough to watch India's freedom. And here Sonia is going to be the only one who is there to witness amongst this group, who is there to witness that what the impact of their action is going. Now, coming to the next part, that the religion-based discrimination that people face in this nation. The partition happened, and it was again political. I won't say that the Britishers imposed this partition mentality on us or this diversity or this discrimination into us because it was always there. They just instilled it. Even we saw one instance that they're trying, one Muslim worker in the British military is trying to convince Asfaqullah Khan that the Hindu people want freedom for themselves and they're just using you and other people of our religion. And he again says that it's not for Hindus but Hindustani, which means Indians. So when I'm saying that India itself is a character, it has several colors. It's not only saffron, whether we call it paint me saffron or not, but it has several other colors in this India, yes, we fight, and then we fight together also. We fight amongst ourselves also. We discriminate on the basis of language, on the basis of religion, on the basis of gender, caste, class, and so on. But I know when it comes to the nation, we can fight together again. And that's the thing, that people like Raghuveer Mishra or the defense minister, they are using the characters like Lakshman Pandey for their own benefits. They are instilling the ideas into themselves that following this particular notions is being patriot enough, and going somewhere else beyond this particular boundary is being termed as anti-national. And I think this is something that the rulers of the state always use, even in the British era, even in this era, that often being against the state is termed as anti-national. But I really feel that sometimes if we are not going against the state, we are actually going against the nation, because sometimes it is really needed to protest when the state is doing wrong. That's it.
Thank you, Sheuli, for your reflections on my questions. Can I ask others to come up with newer questions, with newer perspectives? Anyone who may like to join us for a little more discussion? Muskan, Samuel, Sanjay, Shridhar, Tarakeshwar sir, anyone, if you have any burning question, as we are getting close to the closure of the session, if you have any burning question that you believe should go ahead.
Yeah, Ananya, this is Sanjay here.
Yes, please go on.
Yeah, first of all, well, I want to say at the outset that I don't think it's a great film because of several reasons. I think one was already hinted by Geeta, that that gender sensitivity, that's something which lacks here. As initially when the audition is going on and the high-pitched sound is mocked at, it is ridiculed, which is often associated with the feminine voice, that boys, when they have high-pitched voice. Then in one of the scenes when these people are getting married, and then the bride is supposed to touch the feet of the husband, and there is a joke there. And then the Sue says that no, we have to respect the tradition. And then after that, with the joke, that matter is dissolved. It is not further debated. And so, but well, I don't want to talk about all those things. Certain things were certainly interesting, and I want to talk about them. Particularly the character. I'm just taking a cue from Sheuli. Just now you were talking about, how Lakshman Pandey has been portrayed. I thought it was very interesting the way camera shows his face. Every time there is something happening, when they are showing the picture on the wall and of army man, and then how Lakshman Pandey is looking. So if we look at this character from the very beginning, the first scene, he comes to fight against these people, that why they are dancing, and which is against the so-called Indian culture. From that time, there is a slow evolution in this character, and that is most beautifully played. I think among all the characters, this is the character which has been most strongly played, and more attention is also there. Even if Amir Khan, I mean, he plays as the protagonist, but I think this character has been given a lot of importance, and that is visible through the way camera portrays him, and also in the story. So for example, in the next scene, he's shown looking at the picture of Raghuveer Mishra with a lot of admiration, and then Raghuveer Mishra comes and he appreciates him and he gives him money. And there the characterization starts of this. I mean, in the sense, uh, it's not all which we have seen in that dance scene where he comes to stop these people from celebrating, from playing music and dancing. But then he says that, no, no, I am doing whatever it is out of my belief. I genuinely believe in that. That's why I'm doing. I'm not doing it for money. So, and throughout the film, you will see that whatever he does with his belief, and he is genuine and he is honest about that. So whether he is right or wrong, that's a different thing. And there is a lot of difference, of course, from North Pole he goes to the South Pole by the end of the film, which is again fascinating for us. Then we can see him also that he doesn't want to sit with Aslam. Then Aslam comes here and when they are having meal, and then he leaves that place and he sits alone at the table. Um, and then he starts working in the film, this the film which is within the film. Yeah. So um, and after that, we see him in a scene where he's speaking at India Gate, and then Raghbir Mishra comes there and he looks at him. Again, the camera focuses on the face of Lakshman Pandey, that he is a little puzzled that how come this person is here, and rather than stopping it, he is asking his people to, you know, to do violence on the demonstrators. And he asks these questions. Finally, he realizes that he cannot, he doesn't have the power to, I mean, he is not allowed to disobey. Every time he has to obey. There, even he touches the feet, but he starts engaging Raghubir Mishra in conversation and starts debating against him. And that time, when Raghubir Mishra throws the hot tea on his face, he realizes after that he is being beaten also. Then he realizes the true face of so-called patriotism, which is being used by Raghuvir Mishra. So it's not that he's, I mean, genuinely patriotic as this character has been presented. And then he also realizes his mistake in terms of discriminating Aslam, and he comes to say sorry. So we see a clear evolution in this character, which I found very interesting. Then coming to Mizonabim, what in common parlance we call film within the film. So there we have an outer film and then the inner film. That the dynamics between the outer film, the inner film is also very interesting. When inner film starts dominating in a way over, or starts influencing the life of the people in the outer film. So when they start acting in the film, how much influence is there of their characters? What happens between the actors and the characters? So when they portray particular character, the influence of that character also happens on the actor, okay, in their real life, which is coming to the outer film. So and in that, so in a sense that the inner film works as a instrument, as a device to reveal the psychology of characters. And it also establishes a dialogue between the past and the present. The past going back to Jallianwala Bagh, or protesting against the death or of Lala Lajpat Rai, or Simon Commission. So all that, and then coming back to the present. So back and forth, as you already stated. And also what we call meta cinema, when the film is being made, that so the what is see Sue is not getting financed by the people she has been expecting there. And so she realizes finally that she cannot make this film there. So she comes to India to make that film. So, because in this kind of film, she will not get any support there. There is a dream sequence which is very interesting in that, because it is also through the dream sequence that there is the interference of the inner film into the outer film. We see quite often the faces changing. In fact, that dream sequence starts just before when we see this saying that they are all not sleeping, they were waking up. So that is a metaphorical line where that people are getting sensitized, they are waking up in that sense, they are becoming politically conscious, they are realizing their real life, how it is changing. So that part, when the dream sequence starts, that is through the character of Karan, I think. And we see that the dyer is being replaced by the defense minister. So there is this dialogue between the past and the present. Ajay, he is being fired at the order of on the order of the defense minister. So this is the relationship between the past and present, which the characters realize. Having said all that, I just want to say something for a minor correction in history. Actually, Udham Singh did not kill General Dyer, which can be verified from some of the history books. He killed actually Michael O. Dyer. And there is a confusion because Dyer is written with D-Y-E-R and Dyer is written with D-W-Y-E-R. Michael O. Dyer. Michael O. Dyer was Lieutenant Governor of Punjab from 1913 to 1919. He was the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab at the time when Jallianwala Bagh happened. And at the same time, there was this General Dyer or Major Dyer at that time. He ordered the killing of the people. So there were two Dyers at that time. General Dyer, who was actually involved on the spot by giving orders to kill. And then there was Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, whose name was Michael O. Dwyer. So D-W-Y-E-R. And that happened basically, I think, because of an entry in the diary of Udham Singh. So Udham Singh, in his diary, he wrote D-Y-E-R, that's the wrong spelling. And people thought that later on, but it has been verified and can be read in history books. What happened that General Dyer actually died in 1927. So much before Udham Singh could kill him. Udham Singh did not kill him. Udham Singh killed Michael O. Dyer in 1940, much later. By that time, General Dyer had already died. And General Dyer died by brain hemorrhage, cerebral hemorrhage in 1927. That's a minor correction. Anyway, thank you very much for highlighting so many issues actually with the film. Though overall, I don't think it's a great film and there are so many limitations also, I can understand. But yes, it's a kind of popular film for popular entertainment. I also found that at times the music was too loud, like, diegetic as well as the extra diegetic music also too loud. But yes, and certain things are of course interesting, which I already discussed. So anyway, thank you very much for.
Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thanks for that information of history. I really didn't know about that. I will correct it onward. And the thing you said about the Lakshman Pandey character, actually, personally, it is also my favorite character arc that we watch in this film. Obviously, the character arcs are quite utopian and it is fascinating. And we don't know how much it is possible for the characters to change that much in real life. But I also had a parallel between Raghuveer Mishra with another character of past, but I thought that would be very controversial, so I was just trying to ignore that part. But actually, one thing was there that while Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev Raj, and Shivram Rajguru were hanged, there were other political prisoners of particular political parties who were also accompanying these three people, these three freedom fighters. But after a certain meeting with one of the prominent political leaders of that time, the political prisoners of that particular party were released, where these three characters were hanged. So I feel that there was a subtle parallel between the character of Raghuveer Mishra with that political leader. But again, I don't want to name that character because that is controversial. And other things, whatever you said, I'm very much thankful for that, and particularly for that history information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Is there anybody else who would like to go on, or we may close?
Right?
Yes, please go on.
Thank you. It's an interesting discussion that is happening here. Whether the film is good or bad, I would say it's subjective, depending on what criteria you bring in to evaluate the film. And the second question is about what is the understanding of politics or social change, and how the social change happens, or how it should happen, how the film understands it. I think there are two opinions that has emerged in this discussion. One is that it's a very naive understanding of the politics, and the second one is it's enough for us to inspire us to change it. So these two discussions are very interesting, and it is also true that some of us who are trained, who are quite old, the way we look at how things have to change, and how the present generation thinks about it is also quite interesting. This is not an isolated case. What gets represented in Rang De Basanti, because that was the time, as some of you have pointed out, in many Asian countries, especially, regime changes have happened with sudden, spontaneous grouping of youngsters and forcing the regimes to come down. And this is something that we are unable to understand. And why we are unable to understand is the way the communication is employed by this generation. Here it's very clear that how they use EIR, All India Radio, to broadcast themselves, to provide an alternative narrative to the state's narrative. So that is quite interesting. But getting together and forcing the regime to change without having an idea of what should be the nature of the coming in regime is something that is new to us. So it's natural that people of my age would have some reservations about this kind of politics, especially now with an insight. If you look at what has happened in the last 10-15 years in various West Asian countries, um, even in South Asian countries now, it is not really a happy situation. It is much in the way this film talks about the regime change. So the earlier regime change, whether it changed because of Gandhian politics or because of extremist politics, or both contributed to it, as Sheuli was trying to point out earlier, is a different issue. But once the regime changed, what happened? There was a transfer of power, but with transfer of power, not much has changed. That was the tone that the filmic narrative is trying to posit. In fact, it is quite saying that This is much more oppressive than the earlier one. In the earlier one, if you surrender, you will be tried in the court and you get a chance to put forth your argument in the court. But here, when they try to replicate it, when they surrender, they don't get a chance. So, in that sense, this state is more uh, oppressive than the colonial state. That is quite interesting. So, that's what the narrative is saying. But these youngsters are unable to understand it. They're simply replicating it uh, without thinking about what should be the nature of the regime that is going to come in. Eliminating one or two people might put the pressure on the regime, but it may not change the nature of the regime. Uh, that is what something we need to look at. How do we bring a transformation within the nature of the state? Not replacing one person to head the state, the same state, is something that we are unable to think through. We are unable to think through because most of these quote unquote revolutions are spontaneous. There's no sustained ideological uh, campaign behind it, or there is a certain kind of understanding of the present socio-political condition that informs them. Here too, the people who are involved in the what they think as the revolution suddenly get inspired by uh, the movie in which they're acting and things that they've picked up from it. Of course, there's a sense of injustice that contributes to it, and the overwhelming support of the public after the AIR announcement also indicate that. So there is discontent. There's no doubt about it. But now there is a way of channelizing that discontent that is becoming popular in the last 10, 15 years, uh, mainly in West Asia, now in South Asia. But that is one way of channelizing and airing it. And the discontent is much more longer, and it could be unemployment, as everybody is saying. So one incident of injustice triggers it, but others join it. But that is not enough uh, to change the nature of the regime or nature of the state itself. Uh, this calls for a kind of sustained thinking about why the older generation who are trained in a particular way to understand things and the new generation both feel that something is wrong, but how do we channelize and act? There seems to be a difference of opinion, at least in this discussion. Uh, but I don't know how it is being played out in the real politics. And as several others have pointed out, this film is quite a interesting intervention. What I spoke till now is only uh, what the film has picked up intuitively about the nature of social transformation that seems to be happening. But it also makes a conscious intervention. Again, as everyone said, about one character, uh, who there's a lot of transformation in him from being a right wing activist to the film act and then joining this group. That was a quite interesting transformation of that character. I think that was a very apt intervention, a conscious intervention uh, that is being made in the narrative because it is not a replication of or duplication of the earlier story. So, in that sense, there is a past and the present, which parallels are there, which overlap. That's why it could seamlessly move between the past and the present. But this character is something new. In that sense, it's quite an intervention, that the conscious intervention the narrative is making in the present political situation. So what it unconsciously has picked up and what the narrative consciously intervening, both are in that sense is quite interesting in this narrative. Thank you for suggesting this film and the discussion and all those who contributed to it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot. I agree with whatever you said. It is true that mostly uh, people of my age, we think about revolution, we think about the extremist ways, but we actually don't have any idea of what to do after we make a regime to surrender or fall, and what the next regime will look like. So I think yes, this is something we are lacking. Probably the wisdom of looking what happens next. Uh, so that is correct. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining all of us. Now we are nearing the closure of the session. I convey my words of thanks and my deep appreciation for all the people who joined. One last time, again, welcoming all the new volunteers who so thankfully joined us. And we will only have more of you over time. Well, and thanks, my also good words of thanks to Sheuli for doing this discussion on a movie. Also thanks to Nicola Mem and Geeta Mem for always joining us in this way. This is a good night until the next Saturday when we can meet over the discussion of a new movie. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks for the discussion. Good night.
Yeah. And
Good
those who
night,
are
everyone.
joining today, do join, do let us know if you're interested and you'd like to be part of the WhatsApp group or the Facebook group so that you can get information about the every week events. Thank you.